Hey, hello, and good evening. How is everyone? I wanna jump straight in and mention that I will have to get up and step away in about 15 minutes, maybe a little more. It depends on how long the video goes. It may not matter, it might not matter. But I have a cheesecake in the oven. That's right. I do my best work well after dark when it comes to cheesecakes. So I got a cheesecake that's currently sitting in the oven, making that for two wonderful friends. And I will have to get up and get it out of the oven so it doesn't burn. So hello, 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 and how is everyone this evening? Hello, Vinny. I see you there. Vincent Notabartolo. We're very close to Christmas. Yes, we are. And that brings us right straight up to the Christmas Star Wars Lego Advent Calendar. That's right. Right here, we have the Advent Calendar. Now, last night, we had Frosty the Snow Gonk. So who are we going to have tonight? It is day 22 of the Advent Calendar. So let's take a look. We put Gonk back where he belongs. Back where he belongs. Let's see. This couldn't just go in order. They had to be weird. It doesn't go to it's just weird. So Gonk back into slot 21. I'll see you later, Gonk. And 22. There, 22. Something a little bit more traditional. The December 22nd Christmas Advent piece is an Imperial Stormtrooper, the classic. What does he look like under his helmet, I wonder? Let's pop his helmet off. He has a face. I have other Stormtrooper Lego minis that don't have faces. Not even the generic smiley face they put on everything. So there we go. That is the Star Wars Lego Christmas Advent for the 22nd day. You can see his back there, nicely detailed in paint. The classic Stormtrooper. I wonder what the 23rd is going to be. So we're back. Stop messaging me, Kyle. My co-host is currently pinging me a lot on Gmail, and it's dinging my phone. Hey, there's something I was going to show to you guys, and I forgot to bring it over here. This is pretty neat. This is a little bit of a Christmas gift in a way for you guys. Let me go get that. Please bear with me. I'll be right back. And I am back. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. So I've been talking a lot about the whole Johnny D&D seed idea that I had, as far as going out, getting PDFs printed at lulu.com or through print on demand, or however you get them. I recommend Lulu because they're much cheaper and you can get everything in one volume, or 2 volumes, and then putting them in the little free library kiosks, and then taking them to used bookstores and seeding them into little used books, or into local used bookstores rather. You could sell them on eBay. I wouldn't recommend trying to turn a huge profit, but it's something you could do. But I just wanted to show you what those would look like, because these are my play copies, actually, that I had printed up. And you know what? We're gonna bring that back up. Give me rocket number 9, Cambot. That is a glossy bound. This is all OD&D rules in a single volume, printed for lulu.com, or through lulu.com. And this is the entire set of original D&D rules. This is Men and Magic, Monsters and Treasure, Underworld and Wilderness Adventures in a single volume. Now, between each section, there's the cover art of each individual booklet. At least I think the cover art is between each section. I could be wrong. Nope, it's right there. Which is just the easiest way to do it. Don't faff about with trying to edit the PDFs and cut them apart and that sort of thing. So there you go. It's that simple. There's no ISBN on this. There's no barcode. There's no, hey, I got this from somewhere else. It is just a bound volume. This cost about $5 or $6 to print. I don't know what shipping is, but it can't be too terribly much, even if you go bulk. And before you say, well, OD&D is nice, Bill, but what about other stuff? This is all for supplements. Now, I say for supplements. A lot of people think that Swords and Spells, the mass combat rules, the fantasy mass combat rules, which supplant Chainmail, is supplement 5, but it's really a standalone game that you can use with OD&D, but you don't need to use with OD&D. So that is another Lulu project. That is what the template looks like. Again, there's no ISBN, there's no barcode, just the wizard logo on the back, because there had to be something. Dungeons and Dragons on the spine. There's no mistaking what this is. I might suggest, I might do this before I share the templates with you guys. Like print, volume 1 on that and volume 2 on this, so people know to grab both. Somehow make it clear, like book 1, book 2 on the supplements, but make it clear that this is not a standalone game, that you need this. Because if somebody just grabs this and not this, and then later somebody grabs this and this is not in there, that might backfire. Or possibly I might consider getting a single bound volume of it. I'd have to see what that would run. Put that through their little template-ator thing and then find out exactly what that costs for you guys. Because you don't want to end up printing up like a $30 book and then you're like, oh, well, time to give this away. Because it's one thing to take a $5 or $6 book, even 4 or 5 $5 or $6 books. And I'm a guy for whom $30 or $40 has like made or broken me at times, even at this point in my life. So I get it. if you don't want to do that. But if you just want to do one, we should make sure that it's not going to break the bank. But this, like that one, has each section's cover art. At least I think it does. Maybe it does. No, it does have each section's cover art. So like, get over here to Eldritch Wizardry, and there's Deb Larson's art. So you get the covers, and there's sections for notes and whatnot. See if I can find what I'm looking for here. The great Mind Flayer and Roper illustrations that Tracy did. That's not his map. But that's what I'm angling. This is it. If you're wondering what is Bill talking about putting, and it's not just OD&D. It's not just OD&D. It's AD&D. It's a player's handbook, a monster manual, and a dungeon master's guide. And that, economically speaking, is going to be one book at a time. So that's what I'm after. That's what I want to see put. Paul says, checks watch. What is going on here? Midnight Delver stream. We tapping into the Insomniac market. Well, I'm baking right now. I'm not baked right now, unfortunately. I mean, fortunately. No, I just happen to be baking, and today just kind of got long. And I do night streams now rather than stream during the day. So it was, we went out and we looked at Christmas lights tonight. And the family wanted to go at 8:30, and so we went at 8:30, and we didn't get home until 9:45, almost 10 o'clock, maybe 10:15. Saw some beautiful lights. I do have lights up in my front yard. I have a little border of C6 bulbs and multicolored around the perimeter of the yard, and a couple of laser spots, red and green. No, I don't have them swirling or more patterns or anything like that. It just looks like I have tons of red and green lights hanging on the front of my house. It's very clever. And just a few other non-light up decorations in my yard. And so we went around and looked at other people's Christmas lights and listened to Christmas classics. And then we came home, and I said, I need to make at least one cheesecake before Christmas Eve. So I'm going to be doing a lot of knees bent running about. So I knew it would take about 45 minutes to prepare it, and it did. So I set the stream up accordingly. And here we are. Here we are, tapping that stream. Let's see. Vinny, I missed your comments here. I'm coming back to you, bud. Don't go nowhere. I'm thinking of a Zork-style D&D game on a game set in the land of Zork. I recently purchased my own copy of Zork, The Forces of Krill. That's the Steve Moretsky Choose Your Own Adventure book. I have one, I'm trying to think. I had two of them. There's three. I had two of them when I was a kid. I lost one and retained the other one. Maybe the other one's still kicking around somewhere. I would have to look through and see if I could find it. They're stultifyingly dull little booklets. But what's interesting is the Choose Your Own Adventure booklets written, I think it was Tor Books did it for, they published them for Infocom. They published a total of 3, and they had beautiful illustrations inside, but I don't know who illustrated them. But the characters in the books, I think, made it into Zork lore. Like at one point in one of the much later Zork games, when they went to like full motion video, click on things, you could find Bivitar's bones lying in a cave somewhere. I guess eventually he fucked up. Excuse me if you're listening, Dungeon Minister. He messed up. I'm sorry again, Padre, for the swears. Let's see. How much did it cost to print that? So these were actually given to me by someone. I don't know. I don't know what these cost. But you know what? Let's look this up. Let's take a look right now. So 34. So 34 pages, 39 pages. Let's see, that's 73. That's 73 pages, and so 109, call it 110 pages. Let's go to lulu.com. Let's see what this is going to set you back. I've gone to night streams, Katie, but usually not this late. And it's good to see you, and I hope you're doing well. Merry Christmas to you. Let's see. Let's go over to lulu.com and let's take a look at this in real time. But it's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see everyone here online. So resources, let's see. Book pricing. Print a book. Please select book size. This is 8x5. Page count, I think we said 110. Oops. 110. Black and white standard. Paper type 60-pound white. Binding type paperback. Cover finish. These are glossy. We can go matte. $3.96 for this. Let's see. Let's look at the supplement. How many pages in the supplement? So OD&D will cost you $3.96 to print into one volume. 65 pages for Greyhawk. I'm going to say something that's going to rile a lot of people. You don't really need Blackmore. There's a few classes in Blackmore that are essential. So 65 plus... Well, actually, you know, I'm going to take that back because you get a published adventure. So 65 and 57, that's 122. And 54 is 176. And then Gods, Demigods, and Heroes has no table of contents. Thank you very much, Jim and Rob. So 176 plus 68 is 244. So 244 pages. Let's up that page count. Page count is 244. We're doing black and white standard. We're doing 60-pound white paper. We're doing paperback. And we're going to do a matte cover again. So it's about twice as much. So $9. So you know what? What about a single volume? Probably 354 pages. Otherwise the same. Black and white standard. 60-pound white. You can't get them bound as a single volume. You cannot get them bound as a single volume in A5. Could we do U.S. trade? Not available. Yeah, no, you're going to have to do it in 2 volumes. You're going to have to do it in 2 books. I love read through and like Blackmore because of the published Adventure Temple of the Frog. Yeah. Happy Christmas, Katie. Happy Christmas. Just going to pin that. Because honestly, I think that's all of us hanging in there, and a happy Christmas to all. So that's it, guys. Call it $10, shipping notwithstanding. $10. Get a few sets of these printed up, say 3, 1 supplement, 1 core rules. Throw them in a free local library, or take them to your FL favorite local used bookstore, Flubs. Take them to your Flubs and trade them in. So we're not allowed to do like digest size or A5 size after a certain page count. I wonder, you know what? Let's say you went and you edited the PDFs and you took all the covers off and you took all the white space pages out. That might knock it down like 20 pages. Let's say 334. I don't think that's going to make a difference. I don't think they're going to want 60-pound and A5 black and white standard, 60-pound white. Matte finish. No, matte finish. Okay, that's interesting. If you can trim 10 pages out of this and this together, you can get a single volume printing for $8 in A5, which is 5.83 by 8.27 inches, which I don't know how big this is. I think that's about that size. If you can trim this down to 334 pages, and I think it's doable. I mean, because let's see here. Let's drop. We don't need that blank white page. So there's the cover. I need you guys to hold on for just a minute for me. I'll be right back. That's my cheesecake. Hang on. I'm back. I am B-A-C-K back. So there you go, guys. There you have it. $8 and change, and you can get the entire bound together OD&D and AD&D books. You got to buy them, and then you got to do some editing on them. You want to take out... So we need 10 pages gone to get a single volume. Sleep is for the weak, Dungeon Minister. Sleep is for the weak. Besides, who doesn't love wearing holes in their amygdala? I know I do. If I can get old school stuff printed that cheap, it would be cool. I just didn't think they would print them. They will. The cheesecake just came out of the oven, Katie. It's going down to my friends over at Gods and Monsters. This is their annual Bailey's chocolate chip cheesecake that I make. It's very simple. Okay. Which one of you people ate all the chocolate graham crackers? I couldn't do a chocolate graham cracker crust on this year's Bailey's because of you guys. So, raise your hands. Look at my list. Katie, did you eat all the chocolate grahams? Oh, you know what? The Dungeon Minister was in and out like that. That is the clear sign of a guilty person. So to Todd and Anna at Gods and Monsters, I'm sorry your cheesecake will just have graham cracker and a layer of chocolate chips, then cheesecake, rather than a proper chocolate graham cracker crust. Apparently the Dungeon Minister thought it would be funny to eat all the chocolate graham crackers and leave us with none. You made a chocolate. I bet. I see what you you make Facebook posts about your cooking, Katie MH, and I think all of us are impressed. Cocoa and butter. See, I could have done that, but no. I ruined Christmas. Anyway, John David, yes, they will print them. Why wouldn't they? They have no evidence that the PDFs don't belong to you. You have... Oh, no, that sucks. John David, I'm sorry. I am sorry, and I will hope for a speedy recovery for you, my friend. I really do. But my buddy Don McVitie over at Hellabard Games, which, by the way, Hellabard Games still has plenty of copies, plenty of physical copies. Well, I shouldn't say plenty. They have a limited stock of Temple of the Sun in. And if you want a physical copy of my Greyhawk module, had to be de-Greyhawked. Can't sell Greyhawk. Wizards of the Coastal Park, the legal Death Star over your house. You know it, I know it. Anyway, WGH2 now being sold as SA1, standalone, that's right, SA1, Temple of the Sun. You can get a physical copy, go to hellabardgames.com and pick a copy up. I believe... Don't quote me on this. All right? Don't run over there and say, hey, Bill said this was half off or anything insane like that. But if you go to Hellabard Games, ping them and ask them whether or not they're going to do a discount, a last-minute Christmas sale on Temple of the Sun. And in case you don't know what Temple of the Sun is, Temple of the Sun is a romp in a dungeon under a desert for an ancient artifact. Now, mine originally was a sphere that was for clerics of Xanier that somehow wound up thousands of miles from any followers of Xanier deep in the old Sul Kingdom. How it got there, that's up to you, the Dungeon Master, to decide. But it's guarded by a huge ancient red dragon, by umber hulks, by fire newts, by an anise, bugbears, deadly traps, all the good stuff, all the awesome stuff. Can I put in a link? I can absolutely put in a link. Hang on 1 second. Hellabard Games. Featured projects. Right there. This is limited edition, folks. I didn't make that up. They did. Hope Vinny's still over on Facebook. Oh, nope, he's gone. Well, I'll put the link in Facebook anyway. So right there, you can go get yourself a copy of Temple of the Sun. New cover art, the old classic art, the very limited amount of art. We would have loved to have used it. I have not contacted I have not been in contact with the artist in a long time. So we went with some new artwork there. It's still awesome. Iconic blue non-repro maps, guys. You know what? You want to see what it looks like? Y'all let me know if you want to see what it looks like. If you have not seen what Temple of the Sun looks like, the physical copy, what you get, then say so, and I'll put it up on Still Store, and you guys can look at it. But go buy a copy. It's Christmas. Look. You've been running around for weeks, or maybe you're stuck at home and you know, Andromeda strain tagged you despite your vaccination. So, I mean, do you think a family member is going to break down at the last minute and go, they like an old school Dungeons and Dragons module? No, they're not going to do that. I mean, you're going to get good stuff. You're going to get nice stuff. Calm down, okay? Relax. You're going to get nice stuff, I promise. You know, you're going to get a Steam card from that special someone who doesn't know what to get you. You know, you're going to get that knife set you've wanted. You know, the rustic outdoorsman thing and the fold-up leather case. You're going to get that. You know, you're not going to get a new video card. Forget it. Don't ask for it, okay? You're going to get that book from Amazon that you've wanted. It's like you've been on the fence. But this, no, you're going to have to go out and get this yourself. Treat yourself. Go get a copy of Temple of the Sun. Yeah, James Keck. Hell yeah, show. I got that for my beat it. You got which? You got Temple of the Sun? You got what? Happy belated birthday, by the way, Katie. If you'd been on the show, we could have celebrated you properly. Oh, that sounded a bit dirty. Maybe it's good that the Padre just blipped in and out. We have to praise you like we should. Once again, if I was on Twitch, for all you people who say, oh, yeah, you know, Bill, you should go on Twitch. That, me singing Praise You there by, who was that? Was that the Crystal Method that did Praise You? No, it's Fatboy Slim. Yeah, that would have gotten me kicked off it. Like, shut down his account, locked down all of his donations, just boom, he's done. He's playing copyrighted music. You got COVID. Oh, crap, Kate. I'm sorry, Katie. That's awful. I'm so sorry. Why don't we only have one viewer according to YouTube? Probably because I was singing copyrighted music. Thank you, John David. Thank you very much. And thank you anyone who buys it. I know Hellabard Games will really appreciate it. Don got tagged with COVID too. Fat Boy Slim, yeah. Norman, somebody or the other. Anyway. Oh, James Keck said, show. I'm sorry. Okay, I just saw that, James. I apologize. By the way, how's your observatory doing? How are things in Hawaii? Fantastic views of the universe, sir, and we salute you for it. I will never stop making that joke. I may be the only person who does make it. Hang on. It's, ironically, it's closer to you guys than it is to me. If you can believe that, it is closer to you than it is to me. I needed a flat place to put it, so I set it in the middle of the table. So, and the camera sticks out just a little bit over the middle of the table. The cheesecake, oh, there's Vinny. You walked over from Facebook. Did you walk all the way or did you Uber over? I'm not sure if it's cold where you are. Thank you. Ah, the observatory's looking up. All right, hold on. So here it is. Here it is, and I'm going to put it up on the Zoom cam. And once again, I will invoke MST3K. Cambot, give me a rocket number 9. So this is what you get. Now this is for Osric and for Castles and Crusades. Osric is AD&D. Castles and Crusades is like a D20 light. But let's take a look. Okay, so first of all, we have some gorgeous cover art, front and back. Sorry, I was still holding it up there. We have some gorgeous cover art, front and back. Yours probably won't say prototype or across the front. And look at this. Boom. My old school blue non-repro maps. One of the few times I ever did really good map cartography. You might take from looking at this map that it's kind of a short adventure. It is. And here's a little upper area here. And then they put some color art there. So there's the map. Where can I put this? Put that right there. Here is the paper module itself. And this just the stuff that comes with this, I mean, it's very, very cool. Look how thick the appendix of New Monsters is. Because I did use some... There goes the camera. There goes the camera. There goes the light next to the camera. Y'all got me new light batteries for Christmas, right? I'm getting those in the mail like in the next day or two. Right? Please. 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 Anyway, but yeah, so you got 30 pages of module. You got 59 pages of New Monsters. Because we Greyhawked it up when I wrote this bad boy. And we had to de-Greyhawk it up when it got published. Or again, Wizards of the Coast, nuclear destruction. So there's your module. 60-page module. And an appendix of New Monsters. You got the Giant Centipede. The Dune Wraith. I had a Dune Stalker from Fiend Folio in there. The Gambado is actually open, but nobody had written it up. So the Gambado is in there. The Gila Man, I don't remember. I think the Gila Men came in for the Fire Newts. Yeah, they did. There's some were-rats in there, so there's were-rats. Oh, I had... There's ogre rats. I stole ogre rats from Warhammer Fantasy, so we had to change those up. And I think they just had some fun. The Sandman, again, it's open, but nobody was using it, so they wrote up the Sandman. Giant Scorpion is in there. And then there's the magic item that you're after. Now, I know it's a desert adventure, but you got to keep your players on their toes, right? You got to throw them for a loop. So there's a Water Weird. But Water Weird is licensed product. You can't use it. So we got a possessed water elemental, and we got it statted up in there. The convention characters as I created them are in this book from way back in 2004, I think. The convention characters, they're in there. And this is like a monster by room for Castles and Crusades. And we have combined monster statistics. If you want a little bestiary, right there, a combined monster statistics. Ka-chow. Very deluxe. Very, very deluxe. And this, I don't think we ended up doing the poster, so I don't want to show it. It's basically, it's the cover art, but I don't think this comes with. But this is that's a lovely poster that you could get, which is unfortunately creased because of how it came in the box. But you do get the module, you do get the maps, the whole spiel. So yeah. And 60 pages is pretty chunky. It absolutely is. Let's see. Let me just bring you guys back here. Whoop. And there we go. We are back. So, Dune Sandworm? No, there's not a Dune Sandworm in here. That's just the purple worm from AD&D. If you here, let me, for those of you who may not play AD&D, let me see. Let's just crack open the monster manual, have a cracking look. All right, so this is the purple worm from AD&D. Why this opened in the browser and not Adobe, I don't know. Adobe and Windows hate each other. Both of them are crap for opening things. All right. So the purple worm. Purple worms burrow deep beneath the ground in a constant search for food. They sense vibrations at 60 feet and move to attack. Generally, only adult specimens, 8 to 9 feet in diameter and 40 to 50 feet long, are encountered. Young are 1 foot in diameter and about 5 feet long when they hatch. A typical hatchling being 10 to 20, each with 1 hit die plus 4 hit points. They return to their lairs to rest, and there they expel such indigestible waste as metal and mineral crystals. So you get treasure types B, Q times 5, and X. A purple worm attacks by biting, 2 to 24 points of damage, and any hit 20% over the required score, that is 4 or more, or a 100% die roll of 20, score indicates the creature has engulfed its victim. A mature purple worm can swallow whole any creature as large as 8 feet or so tall and up to 6 feet wide, or vice versa. Any creature swallowed will be dead in 6 melee rounds. The worm will digest its meal in 12 turns, and after that time the creature is totally gone and cannot be raised from the dead. Note, however, that a creature swallowed can try to cut its way out of the purple worm's stomach. The inner armor class of the worm is 9, but each round the creature in the worm subtracts 1 from the damage each attack it does. This subtraction is cumulative, so on the second melee round there's a -2, on the third -3, etc. Additionally, the purple worm has a poisonous stinger in its tail. This weapon is only used in rear defense, however, or if the worm is fighting large or numerous opponents in a very spacious area, which will allow its freedom to use its stinger. The sting causes 2 to 8 points of damage when it hits, and if the victim fails its saving throw, it is killed by the purple worm's poison. Now, if you remember, I think it's in Children of Dune, we find out that the Chris knife that the Fremen use is made from the teeth of a purple worm, and it still has the nerve pulp in it, and it kills through the poison if you stab someone with it. This having never been mentioned in all of Dune. Thanks for sticking with consistency there. I just played online with Bill Webb. He did a huge Orcus Christmas thing. And there's a spammer, so I'm going to remove that. Creeping and crawling around me this hour of the night. Yeah, Bill Webb is awesome. Frog God Games also published an adventure module. John David, you want to buy something else of mine? It won't benefit me, but you can go buy another module by me. It's funny, the spam bot, the last name given to the spam bot is Albie, and Albie Fiore is an artist who did a lot of work in Fiend Folio. And I think may have actually written some of the monsters too. So there you can go over to Frog God and buy the Lost Crypt. Now, that's not in print. If you want to buy a print copy, autographed print copy by myself and one of the artists, Tracy Lesh, then shoot me an email, bsylvia@gmail.com, and let me know if you want it for Swords and Wizardry, which is original Dungeons and Dragons, which easily ports to AD&D, or for 5e. Those are the two versions that I have. I have some of each, and you let me know. The autographed physical print copies are $25 a piece. So let me know if you want a print copy, and I'll hook you up, man. And that goes for anybody. Anybody who's sitting out there. If you're looking for a stocking stuffer, I don't know that I could get it. In fact, I know that today being the 23rd, I couldn't really get it to you as a stocking stuffer, but a 12th night gift, something like that. A physical print copy. Here, I will put it. Let me see if I can put that up on screen. It's bsylvia@gmail.com. Let me see. Can I add? And let's see. Text. We're going to call that. Okay. Whoa, that's a little big. You just move that down there. And I'll just center that. Can I text transform? Oh, nope, that's all that does. And you can just shoot me. You can just pay me in PayPal. That's okay, Katie. Go take a picture. Go take a picture of your fudge. So, oh, you already own the PDF. Awesome. So yeah, if you want a signed, if you want a copy of Temple of the Sun, I'm sorry, not of Temple of the Sun, not of Temple of the Sun, but of the Lost Crypt, I still have some left for 5th edition or for Swords and Wizardry original Dungeons and Dragons. But just specify which version. It's $25. It's available in, like I said, 5th edition, OD&D, and let me know which version. Or if you want both versions, then you know what? I'll throw in a price break. $20 a piece. If you want it in both 5e and Swords and Wizardry, I'll cut you a price break. $40 for the pair. Sort of, John. I sort of still write for Frog God. I have a project or two that is kind of in the pipeline. I keep running out of time and so on and etc. So I don't have anything else out there. Actually, no, that's not true. That's not true. There's a 3rd edition book that I wrote with Lance Havermail. The sequel / new version is due out in 2022, I believe. Called Elemental Moon. Now, I wrote Elemental Moon with Lance Havermail under a pen name. That is, I was under a pen name. He was Lance Havermail. I was the rather improbable name of Andy Luke Crossness. Now, here's a little bit of old school gaming lore. Andy Luke Crossness is an anagram, and I wonder if you can figure out what it is. Bill Webb is a national treasure. Bill Webb, I tell you what. Let me get adjusted here. This is a really uncomfortable. I was hoping Santa Claus would bring me a better chair, but he didn't. Bill Webb and Matt Finch, honestly and truly saved our butts with the Indiegogo that they set up for getting the initial publication of the Lost Crypt. So I owe a lot to Bill Webb. I owe a lot to Matt Finch. I'll tell you guys a story. Put your feet up. You know, it's a holiday night. Let's just relax and let's talk. I've talked about this before, but I'm gonna tell you guys a story now anyway. So once upon a time, I worked with Troll Lord Games. I worked for Gary Gygax, and because of circumstances, well, no, you know, I'm kind of getting too far ahead. I want to get into the emotion of it, the meat of it. Gary contracted myself and a lot of other authors to work on a Castles and Crusades re-envisioning of Gary's World of Greyhawk. But it was a new approach. It was a new look, right? So, Gary, he started out with like 30 of us. By the time things were whittled down, there were about 11 of us, and we were all working favorably. We had many projects. I had 5 or 6 sections of a city done, ready to go to press. Don McVitie and his wife Lori McVitie actually got some of their stuff published by Troll Lord Games. Jeff Tellini, I believe it was it Jeff Tellanian? Yeah, Jeff worked on a bunch of stuff. We all busted our asses to get those things published. one of the tasks that I had was to take a module that Gary had written. Now, let me tell you a little bit of something about this module. First of all, if you have a Dungeon Master's Guide handy, look up Teeth of the Dalvernar. Now, the Teeth of the Dalvernar are a set of 32 teeth. They're not dentures. It's not like, you just pop them in. Like fangs, the old wax teeth you put over your mouth. They're actual like full teeth, and if you lose a tooth or deliberately pull one out, you can stick one in and it'll give you magic powers. And the more of them you get, the more magic powers you get. And the more magic powers you get, the more powerful you become. They're artifact level magic items. They're not simple, ring of protection, potion of healing, longsword +1. They're real Wrath of God type stuff. So Gary created a set of artifacts, the Teeth of the Barkesh Nor. Later became Teeth of the Dalvernar, Teeth of the Barkesh Nor in his original notes. And in his original notes, he invented something that had never been done in Dungeons & Dragons before. Multi-classing. That's right. In Teeth of the Barkesh Nor, Gary created the concept of multi-classing. That is, more than just elves can also act as thieves or as magic users, and dwarves can be fighters or thieves, and hobbits can be fighters or thieves. Gary went full out and said, boom, here's multi-classes. And I know this because I have seen Gary's notes with my own two eyes. So Gary created this adventure. It's set in a pocket dimension, accessible through Castle Greyhawk. It's a massive outdoor adventure. There's a desert where if you're going north, it actually takes you south. To exit the map to the north, you have to go south. Swamps with intelligent, dangerous topiary animals. The boss is this horrible watery fungus called the slimy horror that can spew out this yellow-gray mass on you, and if it hits you, you turn into slime. Just like that's it. It just loads of stuff like that. And the slimy horror guarded the teeth. I asked Gary, I said, look, can we have the teeth scattered around? Because if parties don't make it all the way through, they'll want at least something, right? I met Gary. I worked for Gary. I met Gary many times. I had a lot of correspondence with Gary. I did a live interview with Gary, which I played on this show. Anyway, where was I? Yes, Gary. Or Teeth of the Barkesh Nor. So he said, sure. One of the locales that I placed the teeth in, or a tooth or two in, was the Temple of the Sun. No, it was the Lost Crypt. Sorry, the module's right here. Was the Lost Crypt. It was placed in the Lost Crypt. Two things happened. And since you guys love story time so much, I'm going to tell you a story. You guys know who Frank Menser is? You're friends with him on Facebook. You meet him at cons. You got his signature or autograph on stuff. Yeah. Frank interfered in the publication of Teeth of the Barkesh Nor. Frank got his hands on my manuscript when it should have gone just to Gary. And then told Gary, oh no, this is all full of copyright violations, Gary. You can't use this. Which is a goddamn lie. So, Gary told me that it was unusable. I told Gary I could fix it because I thought I'd made some grave error. Now, to Gary's credit, Gary wanted me to work on 2 Legendary Adventure projects, Maledict and the Key of Sand. If you're a Legendary Adventures fan, by the way, don't email me here and ask me what those were, because I don't know. I had the titles, The Maledict and the Key of Sand. He hadn't sent me the notes yet. I know they were to be worked on. So he didn't say like, oh, kid, you screwed this up, you're fired. Just, nope, don't worry about it. We move on. Gary passed away. All of my projects that I was working on for Gary and had turned over to Troll Lord Games went away because Gail didn't want Troll Lord Games to publish Gary's stuff. So I lost years of work, tens of thousands of words, finished, fit, and ready for publication. Not like notes, not like I frittered around. I bounced ideas off Gary. All that was taken away. Teeth of the Bark Eshnor stolen away from me. But before Gail did that, when Troll Lord Games thought that she would continue to work with him, Gail, I went to the last Lake Geneva Gaming Convention, which was put on by Troll Lord Games. And I met Frank, and Frank said, oh, it's okay, buddy. I'm going to help you fix this. I'll go through and I'll edit it so everything is hunky-dory. Oh, your name will still be on it. I get it. You know, you want to see your name up in lights. I understand. Your name will still be on it, bud. So, I was crestfallen. But that weekend, in my hotel room with my laptop, I finally decided to take a good hard look at my manuscript and see just how bad I'd screwed up. I couldn't stomach looking at it. It made me sick at heart to even consider opening that manuscript again. But I sat down with the SRD website and the goddamned open gaming license. I went through my module one fucking character at a time. One typewritten character at a time. There was nothing wrong with that module. I have since shown that module to attorneys who have looked at the OGL and the SRD, and they agree with me. There's nothing wrong with the module. So I hate to break this to you, but if your childhood hero is Frank Menzer, and you got that red box with Larry Elmore cover art, gorgeous piece of art, by the way, I'm not slagging the art. Yeah, that's the kind of person Frank Menzer is. There was nothing wrong with it. Then I sat down with somebody that weekend after I realized, hey, I've been had. Who had a rather, shall we say, detailed perspective on Frank and his relationship, for lack of a better term. And so that is what happened to that. But the silver lining to all of this, and there is a silver lining, folks. This is the silver lining. A few years ago, I was looking at my manuscript, as I often do, taking it out, turning it over and over in my hands, in a digital sense. Digital, get it? I'm a writer. I make puns and word jokes. And I said, wait a minute. All of this stuff belongs to Gary. This stuff being the original manuscript for the Teeth of the Barkish Noor. Now, I tarted bits and pieces of it up. Adjusted a few things, moved a few things. But it's ultimately still Gary's. The dungeon adventure that I put in the module for some of the teeth to be found, the Lost Crypt, that's entirely my creation. With a few edit changes to the beginning and ending of the module, it becomes a free-form dungeon that is just out there by itself. You can stick it in Greyhawk. You can stick it in Forgotten Realms. You can stick it in Dragonlance. You can drop it into Dark Sun. You could scuttle it into Ravenloft. You could hide it in Eberron, so on and etc. It's a perfectly portable, potentially playable dungeon. So I went to my friends over at Frog God Games and I said, "Hey, Matt, what do you say you publish a piece of a module that will never be published, that was co-written by me with Gary Gygax, and I write a little essay in the beginning?" "Oh, I write a little essay." I apologize to everyone for that joke. And Matt Finch, God bless him. Sorry, it's making my head itch. What, do you guys expect me to be bald? Matt said yes. And then Bill Webb wanted to publish it. He's like, "I want to publish this." And Matt's like, "I want to publish it for Swords and Wizardry." And Bill Webb was like, "No, I want to publish I want you to flesh it out and add more levels to it," which still is going to happen, by the way. So Matt wanted it for Indiegogo. Bill Webb wanted it for a longer project. There is a expanded version that's going to come out someday. It won't be Teeth of the Barkish Noor. That's not the expansion. No one can penetrate Gale's dislike of anyone trying to do anything profitable with Gary's works that isn't just Gale making money from it. All of us who worked for Gary, unless they got a little bit of something out, we got nothing. So that is what you get. When you get the Lost Crypt from Frog God Games, you get a piece of a module written by myself and Gary Gygax. Honestly, it's worth its weight in gold, folks. Actually, it's not. It's not worth like $26,000. Don't at me. So there you have the story, guys. That's the story of Lost Crypt. I can't be politic about it. I'm not going to hide the truth. I was told that was what happened to it. And that Frank went to Gary and lied. And the people who explained this to me, I have no reason to doubt. They profit not in the least from it. And I turned it over many times. Many times I turned it over wondering, could this person actually be trying to get an angle up? And the answer is no. Not because I want to believe that, but because I was super critical. Now, look, if you come away from this and you're still like, well, Bill's probably reading it wrong and Frank is a good guy, that's fine. That's fine. That is absolutely a don't meet your heroes story, Katie. I mean, Frank wasn't a hero of mine, but I thought he was a decent guy. Oopsie. But anyhow. Sorry, I'm keeping an eye on the technical bandwidth-o-meter in open broadcast, because last night we were building up a good head of steam. I had like 12 people watching, and I had been on for like 90 minutes, and then my internet connection just shat the bed. So if you go back and watch last night's episode, like, you've got about an hour and 17 minutes of good video before it just like swallows itself. Oh my goodness. It does, doesn't it, John David? It does make you wonder what else he weaseled. But you know what? I got more stuff published. I was eventually able to step up. And it's like Flight of the Phoenix. Have you ever seen Flight of the Phoenix? Like the original, the really good one from the 1960s with Jimmy Stewart. This plane, it's a cargo plane, crashes. Oh, it makes a crash landing, I should say. And there's a guy on the plane who says, hey, we can take these pieces of a plane and rebuild a working, functioning airplane out of the pieces of a plane and fly it out of here to this whatever oasis. How's the cheesecake? Did it crack? I don't know. It didn't crack in the stove. It may crack while it's cooling. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, Flight of the Phoenix, Joseph Lucas, you're right. It is a great film. So they build out of the wreckage a smaller thing that is able to save them. And by the way, they really did that. They really built an airplane out of pieces of a C-119 Cargo Master aircraft. Unfortunately, it crashed, and Paul Mantz, a stunt pilot, very famous stunt pilot, passed away in the crash. So you only see it for a little bit. They only got a few shots of the plane. They didn't build a second one. It's not like, oh, we can just CGI this. So that was my Flight of the Phoenix moment. I engineered something out of the wreckage. So if you want an autographed copy for 5th edition or for Swords and Wizardry, hit me at this email address right here, bsylvie@gmail.com. Drop me an email. If you want it for 5th edition, Swords and Wizardry has my autograph and the autograph of Tracy Lesh. That's right, the Tracy Lesh. The Tracy Lesh who did the Mind Flayer illustration, the original Mind Flayer illustration. So much cool stuff Tracy did. And I will negotiate with you. We will do some PayPal action, and you can get a copy. So just let me know if you want to do that. I don't have any copies to hand right now to show you, but if you go over to the page, to the page on Frog God, that's what the cover looks like. There are copies that say SNW down in the lower left-hand corner. I love this blurb. This just touches my heart. Written by veteran RPG scholar and scribe Bill Sylvie. The Lost Crypt is an old-school style romp through an ancient tomb and hidden layers filled with clever monsters. This is the Bill-created portion of a joint project with Gary Gygax designed to be a challenge for veteran characters of the 7th to 8th level. A realm not terribly unlike our own exists in a strange and mostly hospitable nearby plane of existence. While planar travel might overlook this small pocket of reality, an entrance into it exists at the deepest depths of the most storied dungeon complex in the known world. To enter this planar region is to step into a world at once familiar and yet more bizarre than our own. Herein there are rumored to lie artifacts of great power and treasure beyond imagination. Having explored the uttermost depths of the dungeon and found the entrance, a group of adventurers can make their way beyond the boundaries of reality itself in search of fame and fortune. Now, doesn't that sound like a fun time? Doesn't that sound like a great module to go play? Go buy it! And if you don't want a PDF copy, if you want a physical copy, let me know. I'll tell you this, and I'm just going to lay it out there. If you buy it from Frog God Games, I was already paid by Frog God Games. But if you buy it from me, I can send you a physical copy. I still have to give some of that money to Frog God Games. Don't get me wrong. But I can send you a physical copy of it. So those are my things out there. And I mentioned Elemental Moon. I don't know if they have. You know what? Let me see. Do they have? Yes, Elemental Moon. This is a D20 one, and this is what I wrote with Lance, and it's pretty good. But again, now this one, I never even got a physical copy of Elemental Moon. Like when it was in print, I don't have a physical copy of it. So, those are basically the three published things that I have out there. Like physical, physical. You can go buy them tonight and have Bill Sylvie originals in your collection if you want. And by the way, if you get a physical copy, some of the limited edition physical copies of Temple of the Sun, if you want them autographed after Christmas, you can send them to me. Include packing, and I'll go through how to do it, and I'll autograph them and send them back to you if you want that. I don't think Bill is hurting for the money. Oh my goodness. So Elemental Moon, Temple of the Sun, The Lost Crypt. And plus you get a pretty good module because Lance wrote some awesome stuff in there too. And I'm working on a sequel to it that actually takes place on the moon. And I described my portion of Elemental Moon as a vertical tomb of horrors. Elemental Moon is the moon of horrors. I'm about 2/3 of the way done with it, and then I gotta weld the manuscript together and sand it and chop it and channel it and everything and get it off to Frog God Games, and hopefully that'll see publication in 2022. And then right on, dude, right on. And then I will start working on a Mega Dungeon version of the Lost Crypt. It'll probably be fifth ed and Swords and Wizardry. Now, I don't do it. Let me tell you, the creative process, such as it comes out of my keyboard here, is AD&D. It's always AD&D. Editors do the editing stuff. When Lance like chased me around with a hatchet, whoop whoop. No, Lance chased me around for the longest time trying to get me to write what eventually became Elemental Moon. I was like, man, I don't know D20. I don't know how to write D20. And finally, he was like, "Don't write D20. Just write a great adventure and let us worry about it." So I said, "Okay, all right, fine." Wrote the adventure, put monsters in, did whatever, and somebody else came in and D20ized it. And that's it. So when you get Elemental Moon, or you get Lost Crypt, or you get Temple of the Sun, you're getting an AD&D module. The stats is whoever was in charge of editing the mechanics of the books. But you're getting AD&D, all right? I don't write rounded corners, wiffle, soft edge adventures type stuff. All right, deadly dungeon crawls. And you get that. Now, if your rule system gives, like if I say that, you hear, oh yeah, and a wall breaks down and looks like the Kool-Aid Man, but he's matte black and it just looks like an outline because he's the cool Sphere of Annihilation aid man. And he starts running towards you and he gets a 2-hit roll as a 20-hit die monster, and the character that he touches is destroyed per a Sphere of Annihilation. If your edition of D&D allows like multiple saving throws and all that, and that got put in the book, by the way, there's no cool Sphere of Annihilation aid man. I'm sorry, there's not. Although, anyway, but if you, if somebody has edited that accordingly to say, oh, but you get a saving throw. You get a saving, there's a saving throw. Then so be it. Now, some of the deadlier traps in Elemental Moon, Lance was like, oh, people are going to hate this. I love it. It's staying in. Like, I'm not going to tell you where. There's a scroll tube that if you try and screw the end off without detecting traps, it shoots spikes through the hands of the person using it, and their hand is useless. Their hand is damaged, and they suffer 2-hit. I think at like -3 or -4 to hit because they got blades shot through their hand when they tried to open the scroll tube without checking it for traps. The outside of the tower, like if you try pass wall, disintegrate, rock to mud, dimension door, whatever, on the wall itself, it sprouts obsidian spiders, and I don't remember. Or no. If you try one of those spells, a Sphere of Annihilation kind of bubbles up and pops off. So it's not a Kool-Aid Man, or rather, it's not a Sphere of Annihilation aid man. But it's darn close. There will be now. You're darn right. Sphere of Annihilation aid man. Oh my gosh. So yeah, if you want to buy stuff made by Bill Sylvie, that's what you can do. You can go those places and you can buy it. I already got paid. I think I made $50 for Elemental Moon. I hope I make more for the sequel. I was well paid for the Lost Crypt, and I have a rolling contract for Temple of the Sun, so it's all good. So you can support me. Speaking of supporting me, probably at 1:15 in the morning Eastern Standard is not the time I should be announcing this, but I will announce it later. I will be setting up a Patreon in 2022. I will probably announce it the first week of January. There will be a Patreon. Top tier Patreons. I'm going to treat you guys right. You're going to get cool stuff for a top tier Patreon. A kook aid man. I don't know what the best paying third party publisher is, John David. I honestly don't. I know the best ones to work for, this is just my opinion, are Mythmere Games, Frog God Games, and Hellebard. Mythmere is Matt Finch's own Impressum. Frog God, of course, is Frog God, and Hellebard Games is Righteous. I know what you meant, Katie. I was just teasing you, dear. That deserves looking up. Anyway, so Patreon. I will be starting a Patreon. Now, I will put short videos up for Patreons. They will not be, all of them will not be hidden forever if you're not a Patreon. And remember, Patreon can be as little as $1. But occasionally there will be times and I'll be like, you know what? I think folks will be interested in seeing this. So the folks who choose not to go that route will see what's cool. But all of this content will never be completely hidden by Patreon. I'll never say, I only do videos for patrons, and if you don't pay me, you never get to see a live stream or a video from me again. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, do something cool for patrons. I will do 3D prints for certain tiers of patrons. That's right. That's absolutely right. You heard me right. I said that. 3D prints for certain tiers of patrons. Useful tabletop stuff for patrons. Let me see now. Oh my God, it was back in March. So this is from comicbook.com. The Kool-Aid Man comes to Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going to, can I? Nope, that won't work. Let me see if I can get this up here. I'll put the link in the chats. Now, let me be clear. There's paying well, Awig, because I think you're saying something very correct there. There's paying well and there's paying well. There's like, I want to buy a new house levels of paying well. And then there's, this means my car won't be repossessed. This means I have grocery money. This means I have money for Christmas, levels of paying well. There'll be stuff like that too, John David, rest assured. There will be all kinds of stuff. You'll see it when it happens. And I have definitely fallen into the latter category of people when I say getting paid well. Nobody gets rich playing RPG. Nobody gets rich working in the RPG field. Nobody. We all do other stuff. Don't kid yourself if you think otherwise. So, all right. So, for Katie, now you can send the Kool-Aid Man to burst through walls and terrify your Dungeons and Dragons party thanks to a fantastic new homebrew. Chris Locke, the editor of the popular Lasers and Liches supplement to Dungeons & Dragons, recently released a 5e monster stat block for the Kool-Aid Man. At first, the Kool-Aid Man might not seem like an obvious choice for a D&D monster, but when you remember that it's a sentient pitcher filled with a sugary drink and has a tendency to burst through walls, you start to see the possibility of how to use it in a campaign. The Kool-Aid Man has two forms, his whole form when he's in a pitcher and his ooze form when he's just sentient Kool-Aid. As a I don't know what that means. CR, challenge rating, I guess. CR5 monster, the Kool-Aid Man is resistant to magical spells, deals double damage to buildings and structures as he can burst through stone walls like they were made from paper, and deals out acid damage with his backsplash whenever he's attacked. The Kool-Aid Man can also run over opponents with his charge ability, which knocks over an opponent when he moves more than 15 feet and then attacks. The Kool-Aid Man can also boost his allies and allies' attacks and other rolls by shouting, "Oh yeah!" giving them an extra D4 or D6 when they make an attack roll, damage roll, or saving throw. As sentient Kool-Aid, the Kool-Aid Man is a lot weaker. When in his ooze form, he's vulnerable to glass weapons, but he can make a terrible "oh no" wail to debuff a potential attack. You can check out both stat blocks below. Oh my god. So there you go. The Kool-Aid Man for 5e. You can check out that link and it'll send you over there. So I don't think that's an official WotC sanctioned cool, but I mean, you know, there you go. And before anybody busts chops on this, look. Dragon Magazine on a nearly bi-monthly basis published silly shit. There was an issue of Dragon. It was an April Fool's issue, but it had Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, some other famous cartoon characters in it. So don't worry, nobody knows what a CR5 means, including WotC. I'll take your word on that one, anyway. But anyway, so not to lose the plot thread, because, you know, this is very important, and I've been going over a lot of important stuff. Yes, the Patreon will include things like adventures and monsters, you know, unique monsters and so on, for patrons and top tier patrons. For top tier patrons, I will do 3D printed stuff. So it's like, you know, at the $1 tier, at the end of a video, I'll say, "Oh, thank you to the patrons," and then roll that or run it across the bottom or whatever. And then at the middle tier, you know, you get access to the videos and so on. And at the higher tier, you get the 3D printed stuff and access to the videos and so on, etc. John David said, "Proud to have every Dragon and Dungeon physical copies. You have Dragon Magazine #1? Holy cannoli. That is awesome. The oldest Dragon Mag I have is Dragon 22, which I bought for myself as a Christmas gift one year. And it is awesome for a few different reasons. One, it's got Gardner Fox fiction in it. But it came out before the 1E Dungeon Master's Guide. But if you don't have, or if you were playing OD&D and you heard about this Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and you bought the Monster Manual and you're waiting for the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Player's Handbook has come out, the Monster Manual is out, and you're on tenterhooks waiting for the Dungeon Master's Guide to come out in summer. It has a preview of the Dungeon Master's Guide, but the preview is all of the combat matrices. It is literally the middle section of the Dungeon Master's Guide with the combat matrices. So right then you could start playing D&D. And the cover of it is a photograph, not an illustration. It is the rare issue, rare in that they didn't do it a lot, of Dragon that uses a photograph, not a cover art, not illustrated cover art. So 22 is awesome. eBayed everyone. I gotta ask, John David, how much did you pay for Dragon Magazine #1? I remember when you could pick that thing up for like $15. Never did. Hate myself for it. I mean, I have all I got the CD-ROM collection, the 250 issues of Dragon Magazine. And please don't call me sir. You don't have to call me sir. I'm not worth calling sir. Oh, who's messaged me? I see your email there, John David, and you'll get that short. You will get a reply shortly. Good Lord. Yeah, that's why I wish I'd snapped it up when it was available. But you know what? It is a piece of gaming history. I hope you read it, and I hope you enjoyed every single word in it. Just please don't tell me you just sealed the thing in Lexan to hang on your wall. But you know, you do with it what you love, dude. You do with it what you love. Why is it when I hit like the 90-minute mark, current viewers goes up? Shout out if you just came on the stream. If you just came on the stream and you're listening and you got a minute and it's not going to screw up, like don't do it if you're driving. Yeah, don't tell me how much. Everything is going crazy. Everything is collectible now. Everything is collectible. We're hitting levels of collectability that we haven't seen since like 1993. Remember when toys became collectible? Like adults would go to toy stores and get like, I'm getting a Spawn figure. I'm getting one to unbox and put on my desk. I'm getting one for show. It'll stay in its package, thank you. But one is going into a safety deposit box. But yeah, that we're kind of hitting that level now where it's and I've seen people. I am convinced that this is money laundering, and you cannot convince me otherwise. By the way, where you'll see like, you know, oh, here's a copy of. I never had a SNES, so, you know, some fucking Zelda game. It's not like rare from Japan and has the label stuck on it upside down, and the, you know, the circuit board is in backwards, so you got to put it upside down in your machine or something. But just like, oh, here's a Zelda game in a box, $50,000, and then it sells. And then you see another one, and then it sells. And then you see suit and tie guys talking about, you know, well, if you can't afford it, stay out of the game. I'm like, I just want to play Duck Hunt. Stop running the price up. Hi, Mark Corey. Good to see you. Now I got 8 people on. You guys are going to keep me up all night. But Mark's in my Monday night game, by the way. He plays the dwarf, Grindel, who's been drained of levels. And so, like, how many times... Grindel's been dead once. He's lost levels at least a couple of times, I think, right? But... I got a bunch in a box, yeah. But, yeah, it's just, it's crazy. And it's not even vintage stuff. Look, I get it. An OD&D book, yeah, okay, all right. They're rare. They're getting rarer. But it's just like... It's what they call FOMO. It's what they call FOMO. And FOMO, of course, you know, it's fear of missing out. I mean, when... You know how they got like $4 million to create the new Hero Quest? FOMO. Hasbro was never not going to print here. They had already decided. This wasn't like some incredible effort that they had to go through to do this. Like, oh no, we only got 1.5 million. Guys, we can't print this now. They were never not going to print it. Fear of missing out. And you're right, they aren't making any new copies of the old books. Oh wait, yes they are. That's completely wrong. You can get print-on-demand copies of OD&D. But with OD&D, I understand completely that you're talking about, in some cases, archaeological items. Dungeons and Dragons, I don't think people get this. Dungeons and Dragons, like the world pivoted because of Dungeons and Dragons. There was a shift in everything because of D&D. But FOMO is driving, it's driving stuff, and it's nuts. John David and me are going to have a slap fight online here in a minute. But the point is, with all respect to John David, the point is that the stuff is attainable. Okay, like I get every 2600 game like that tonight. Just suck them all down and play them on emulators until my fingers bleed. Any D&D book, any supplement, any magazine, it's all there. It's all available. But again, it comes back to FOMO. It's like, and look, I understand there are super rare cases. Like, I thought this was really cool. This came up a number of years ago. Yeah, and I'm agreeing with you. I think we're on the same page. I think there are cool times when you find something like really super duper rare. So back when Toys R Us was still in existence, there was a guy, he was moving browsers and he's cleaning stuff out, and he found a sealed copy of Super Mario 64 or whatever the one that came out for the N64 was when the N64 first came out. It had probably been written off as a shrink, like, oh, well, that gets stolen out of the store because we never found it after we did cycle counts, yada, yada, yada. And it lay there gathering dust for a couple of decades. And they find it under the counter and they're like, holy crap, this is a shrink-wrapped copy of Mario 64. And that was kind of a big deal. That was kind of a big deal. That's a pretty cool thing. But I'm going to buy a copy of blah and blah. And and FOMO drives so much stuff that isn't otherwise. It's just like, I just want a copy of I don't know, Fafhrd and Grey Mouser, Sword Against Deviltry, printed by Ace Books. So I'll find a copy that's like $5. My buddy reads it. He's like, oh, that's awesome. His copy's $10. Maybe they come from the same adult seller. Whoa, 2 copies back to back like that, bam, bam. We bump the price up to $7 or $8. Somebody else comes in. It's like, yeah, I'll buy one. I want to complete my set, and then I want one to read. Holy crap, there's 2 more. And it builds up this head of steam. Now, there are hundreds of thousands of copies of old Ace pulp science fiction and fantasy books from back in the day by Fritz Leiber. But that's just how it starts. That's just how it friggin' starts. And the bookseller goes, aha. That's right. You have the Katie has her copy already. She got that from yours truly. It pays to know the Dungeon Master, kids. Anyway. Well, boys and girls, I've been going at good Lord, we're on for almost 2 hours now. My butt's killing me. I gotta go see if that cheesecake cracked. I'll be back tomorrow night. Not at midnight. I'm sorry, Katie, if that means you'll miss. I'm sorry. But I'll be back probably 8:30 tomorrow night, and we'll catch up again. Okay. So listen, everybody, if you're like pulling the portable hole shut over you until the first of the year, maybe you got to fly out, see loved ones. Don't believe the hype on Omicron. No, take care of yourself. I'm kidding. That's a joke. Take care of yourself, please. But regardless of what you're doing, do take care of yourselves, and be well. And I will see you guys after Christmas. But if you're going to be here, if you're going to be rolling up all the way through it, if you're going to be surfing on the Yule tide, then that's cool too. It's an East Coaster. Good night, everyone. Thank you. I love you all. Peace. Merry Christmas to those of you who will not be back. And to the rest of you, more fun stuff tomorrow. Peace out.